I'll marry anyone tonight. I didn't mean for anyone important to hear it. I meant it as a joke. A desperate, humiliating, whispered joke into the void of a nearly empty restaurant at closing time. But fate has a cruel sense of humor. And so does power. It was almost midnight when I said it. The neon sign outside flickered in exhaustion. The diner smelled like burnt coffee and fading hope. Only one table remained occupied. A group of men in dark suits who hadn't spoken much since they arrived. I didn't look at them. Men like that don't notice waitresses. They don't need to. I leaned against the counter beside my co-worker, Clara, rubbing my temples. They're going to take the house tomorrow, I whispered. Clara's face fell. Are you serious? Yes. My father's debt wasn't small. It wasn't manageable. And the men he owed weren't patient. You could leave, Clara said softly. And go where? I asked. They'll find him. And if they can't find him? The implication hung in the air. They'd find me. I laughed weakly, though it felt like it scraped my throat. Maybe I should just marry someone rich by tomorrow, I muttered. That'd solve it. Clara snorted. You'd have to be fast. I'll marry anyone tonight, I said under my breath. And that's when the room went silent. Not fully silent. Just heavy. Like oxygen shifted direction. One of the suited men stood up. Cheers scraped softly against tile. My stomach dropped before I even turned around. He was tall, white, mid-30s. Dark hair slicked back with deliberate control. Sharp cheekbones. Tailored black suit that fit like armor. The kind of man who didn't rush because time adjusted itself for him. His eyes were the kind that didn't blink when they assessed you. Cold. Focused. Unapologetic. He approached slowly. The other men at the table remained seated, watching. Not concerned. Interested. I assume, he said in a calm, deep voice, you're serious. I swallowed. I was joking. He tilted his head slightly. You weren't. My pulse spiked. Clara quietly disappeared into the kitchen. Coward. I don't even know you, I said carefully. No, he agreed. You don't. And you don't know me. I know enough. His gaze flicked briefly toward the office in the back of the diner. Your father owes money. Ice flooded my veins. How do you? I know everything that concerns my territory. Territory. Not neighborhood. Not district. Territory. Who are you? I asked quietly. His expression didn't change. Luca DeSantis. The name landed like a dropped glass. Every headline. Every rumor. Every whispered story about the most powerful crime family in the city. Luca DeSantis didn't attend diners. He owned the blocks around them. I don't need charity, I said quickly, pride flaring uselessly. I'm not offering charity, he replied smoothly. Then what are you offering? A solution? I shook my head. No. You said you'd marry anyone tonight. That was desperation. Yes. His eyes softened, barely. I respect desperation. My hands trembled slightly. Why would you care? He didn't hesitate. Because I need a wife by tomorrow. Silence. Absolute. Stunning silence. What? My grandfather's will requires me to be married to finalize a merger. Of course it did. Because powerful men never act without leverage. Is this a joke? I whispered. I don't joke about contracts. This is insane, I said. Yes. And you think I'd just agree? I think, he said calmly, stepping closer, lowering his voice so only I could hear. You don't have many options. That stung because it was true. You're manipulating me. Yes. The honesty caught me off guard. At least you admit it. I don't hide strategy. I cross my arms, trying to steady myself. And what happens after? We remain married for 1 year. 1 year? Yes. Separate lives? He considered that. Separate rooms. The distinction made my stomach flip. And my father's debt. Gone. Completely. Yes. No hidden clauses? He looked mildly amused. There are always clauses. Like what? You don't embarrass me. That's it. For now. I stared at him. At the sharp lines of his face. At the complete lack of hesitation. He wasn't flirting. He wasn't seducing. He was negotiating. You don't even know if I'm trustworthy, I said. You're desperate, he replied. Desperate people don't betray the hand that stabilizes them. And if I do. His eyes darkened. You won't. A dangerous confidence. Not cruel. Certain. I need time, I whispered. You have until morning. That's not time. It's enough. He stepped back. Not leaving. Just giving space. The power dynamic was obvious. But not aggressive. Controlled. Measured. Why me? I asked quietly. There are plenty of women who would volunteer. Yes, he agreed. Then why choose a waitress? His gaze lingered on my face, thoughtful. Because you didn't beg. I just said I'd marry anyone. You said it to survive, he replied. Not to impress. The honesty unsettled me, more than threats would have. Say I agree, I said slowly. What changes for me? You move into my estate. My chest tightened. You receive protection. And in return, you stand beside me publicly. And privately? His jaw flexed slightly. I don't touch what isn't willingly offered. The statement hung between us. Heavy, charged, not explicit, but clear. My heart pounded. Because beneath the negotiation, beneath the power, there was something else. Interest. I'll need proof, I said. Of what? That my father's debt disappears. He nodded once. By sunrise. He turned toward the door. Paused. Looked back at me. You said you'd marry anyone tonight, he said calmly. I did. I'm not anyone. And then he walked out, leaving the diner quieter than before, leaving my future balanced on a decision that would either save us or destroy me in a completely different way. Clara rushed back out. Was that who I think it was? Yes. And he proposed. Her jaw dropped. What did you say? I stared at the door he just exited through. I told him I'd answer by morning. But deep down, I already knew. Power had just stood up in a room full of silence. And it chose me. I didn't sleep. Not even for a minute. I lay in my childhood bedroom listening to the ticking clock on the wall, staring at cracks in the ceiling I memorized years ago. At 4:12 a.m., my father's phone rang. He answered on the first vibration. His face drained of color, then changed. Confusion, relief, fear. He looked at me slowly. The debt, he said hoarsely. It's cleared. Completely. I didn't smile. I didn't celebrate. Because this wasn't a gift. It was leverage executed flawlessly. Luca DeSantis didn't bluff. By 7 a.m., a black car waited outside our small house. Not flashy, not loud, just present. I stepped into it alone. The estate gates opened without hesitation. Steel, stone, security layered invisibly. The world inside those gates wasn't mine. Not yet. He was waiting in the foyer. Dark suit again. Hair immaculate. Expression unreadable. He didn't look tired. He looked prepared. You came, he said calmly. I said I'd answer by morning. And I swallowed. Yes. He didn't smile. But something in his posture shifted. Not victory. Acknowledgement. Good, he said. The civil registrar is on her way. My pulse jumped. Today, you required proof by sunrise. I require completion by noon. Of course he did. The ceremony was quiet. Minimal. 2 witnesses from his side. None from mine. I signed my name carefully. Hands steady. Heart racing. When he slid the ring onto my finger, his touch was deliberate. Warm. Controlled. He held my gaze. Not possessively. Not tenderly. Just present. Congratulations, the registrar said politely. Just like that. I became Mrs. DeSantis. The drive back to the estate felt heavier. The air different. I wasn't visiting anymore. I was entering permanently. You'll have your own wing, he said as we walked inside. Separate rooms, I reminded him. Yes. And privacy? Yes. And if I decide this was a mistake? He paused briefly. You won't. The confidence again. But softer this time. The first few days passed like a business arrangement. Staff addressed me formally. Meetings were attended together. Press photos were staged. Headlines called it a surprising union. No one questioned it publicly. No one dared. Privately, he kept his distance. True to his word. No late-night visits. No accidental touches. No blurred lines. Until the first event. It was a fundraiser at a high-end hotel downtown. I wore a deep navy gown provided by his stylist. He wore black. As always. The crowd parted when we entered. Not for me. For him. His hand rested lightly at my lower back. Not possessive, but grounding. The touch sent a quiet warmth through me I wasn't prepared for. You look calm, he murmured. I'm pretending. You're convincing. Halfway through the evening, a man approached. Older. Greasy smile. Mrs. DeSantis, he said, looking at me far too long. You're adjusting well. I am, I replied evenly. His gaze lingered on my hand. You married quickly. Yes. And for love. The implication was obvious. Before I could respond, Luca stepped closer. Not aggressive. Just dominant. Is there a concern? He asked calmly. The man swallowed. No. Then enjoy the evening, Luca replied. The The man retreated immediately. You didn't have to do that, I said quietly. Yes, he answered. I did. Back at the estate that night, the silence between us felt different. Less business. More awareness. You didn't ask why I agreed, I said suddenly. He looked at me. I assumed survival. That wasn't all. He waited. Always patient when he wanted something real. I didn't just say yes because you cleared the debt, I admitted. I said yes because you were honest about your manipulation. His brow lifted slightly. That's an unusual reason. You didn't pretend to be kind. No. You didn't pretend to love me. No. And you didn't treat me like I was beneath you. I wouldn't. The air shifted subtly. Something unspoken rising. Why did you really choose me? I asked. He stepped closer. Not touching. Yet. You looked at me without fear. My breath caught. And you didn't ask for more than you needed. Silence stretched. The estate felt smaller. Warmer. This isn't just strategy anymore, I said quietly. No, he agreed. It's becoming something else. Yes. The word lingered. Heavy. Potential. You said you don't touch what isn't willingly offered, I reminded him. That hasn't changed. I stepped closer. Deliberate. Heart pounding. Then I'm offering, I whispered. Not obligation. Choice. His hand moved slowly to my waist. Testing. Waiting for resistance. There was none. The first kiss wasn't rushed. It wasn't hungry. It was measured. Exploratory. A question asked in silence. And answered just as quietly. His control remained. But it softened. Not dominance. Not conquest. Connection. When he pulled back, his forehead rested lightly against mine. This complicates the contract, he murmured. Maybe, I replied. Regret. No. He exhaled slowly. Almost relieved. Weeks turned into months. The marriage stopped feeling like a transaction. He involved me in discussions. Listened when I challenged him. Protected without smothering. Respected without distance. One night, as we stood on the balcony overlooking the city, I asked the question that had lingered since the diner. If I hadn't said those words that night, would you have approached me? He considered it. Yes. Why? Because desperation reveals strength, he replied. And you saw strength? Yes. The city lights flickered below us. Power moved quietly through the streets. But inside the estate, something else had taken root. You don't need a wife by tomorrow anymore, I said softly. No. Then why keep me? His hand tightened gently around mine. I don't keep what I value, he said quietly. I choose it. I turned to look at him. At the man who answered a desperate whisper with strategy. Who turned survival into partnership. Who offered protection without pretending it was romance. Until it became something dangerously close to it. I'll marry anyone tonight, I had said. I didn't expect power to stand up. I didn't expect to say yes. And I didn't expect that the man who answered wouldn't just save me. He'd change me. Because sometimes, the most dangerous men don't take. They wait until you choose them back.